and welcome to the Fins and Thrills YouTube channel. Today, I'll be telling you how to set up your very first fish tank, which is an essential thing that you need, obviously, to have and raise fish. Anyways, let's get started. So, what you'll need to set up a fish tank is, well, of course, the tank. You'll also need a filter. These usually come around $20 to $30 for a small one, but if you get a really big tank, I recommend, which I don't recommend, I'd recommend, and I want you to. It's better to do this, but to get a canister filter. These ones are more on the higher end, but they do a really good job at filtrating. So there's 4 different levels. There's 2 levels where they filter out the big one, the big five, like the big particles, I guess. There's the third level, which filters out the smaller particles, and there's the fourth level, that filters out the really, really tiny ones. And with a regular hangover filter, it does that, but it doesn't do the best. It's good for smaller tanks, is what I'm saying. But you can get canister filters all the way up from 100 liters to like 10,000 liters. It's crazy how big they get. Anyways, to set up, yeah. So you just plug in the canister filter, intake, outtake, and then that's it. You'll turn it on and then fill it up with water. Remember to put Prime in it. So here, Prime is a product that dechlorinates the water. So it's safe. So if you have chlorine in the water, if you don't know that, you can test with these test strips, or you can just get yourself an API test kit. So these have like the strips for like the pool and the spa test kits. It's basically like that except for fish tanks. Just put this back on. And then you've got all the different ones: saltwater, freshwater, pH, chlorine, and you want to look at the chlorine. So if your chlorine is 0, then you don't have to put this in. Oh Jesus! But I do like to put Prime in. It's a good product to put in. And if you're having marine, if you have marine, then you can put Prime in as well, which is really good. Or just any dechlorinator that you can find. Prime is one of the more expensive ones, but you can find ones for like $10. This one was like 14, I don't know. Yeah, and then this just dechlorinates the water, makes it safe for fish, as I already explained. And then if you want to go one step further, you can add stability, which will. There's something called the nitrogen cycle. This always happens when you first set up a tank. So you got to leave the tank running for about a week before you can add fish in, because if you don't, then when your fish poo, there's like ammonia. The ammonia won't break down, and then it will pollute all the fish and kill your fish. But if you cycle your tank, then there'll be microscopic bacteria that will eat the ammonia. The ammonia will then turn into nitrites. Then the smaller bacteria will eat the poop of the microscopic bacteria, which will turn into nitrates, and then you do water changes to get rid of those nitrates. Or, what I like to do, just add a bunch of plants in, because the plants will absorb all the nitrates, which it's a whole system. So what I recommend doing is first few days, leave it, put nothing in there. Second day, after those 2-3 days, add plants, add lots of plants. Then add 1 or 2 snails, not big snails, really just tiny ones. Because if you get the Malaysian trumpet snail, which is my favorite snail, because it just is really good at keeping the tank clean. Don't get those really big ones, because those will make a lot of poop. And don't get the ram's horn snails. Those are very bad. No, those naughty. Those are very naughty. But the Malaysian trumpet snail, even though it is classified as a pest snail, which it is, it's actually better for your tank than regular snails that cost like $5. Because you can get them for free if they're a pest, which is actually really helpful. And then I'd also recommend putting a top layer, like some floating plants on top of the tank, because those are really good at keeping the nitrate out. But I don't have any at the moment, so I need to get some of that. So, yeah, that's what I would do. Then after about a week, you can put fish in. I'd recommend starting with small fish and then just slowly, gradually make your way up. But you can also always put in bigger fish if you think it's alright, because it's your tank. But stability will actually help it increase. Will basically in 1 or 2 days you can put like a tiny fish in. Like you can put fish in there because it adds the stuff needed for it, which is actually pretty cool. And then for the filtration, these are the third layer. These just these just keep the bacteria in. So if it absorbs any nitrites or ammonia, all the bacteria will be stored in these and then can get eaten by that. And then you'll also need some hiding places. Right now, it's the only really hiding place I could fit on my setup at the moment. This used to be in my tank, but I removed it so it looked more natural. But fish do like hiding places. Even if they are not known for hiding, they will hide. They will hide every once in a while. Another thing that you will need is cleaning tools. So I have this scraper. So got a hard end just for the really hard ones. Then you got a soft one just for the really soft ones. Now, I have no clue what this is for. I think it's just to hang it or something. Alright. And then, yeah. And if you're having cold water fish, you don't have to have a heater. Just leave it. But if you have tropical fish or saltwater fish, you need to have a heater unless you live in a really hot country. Because if you do, then you don't have to have a heater. Like I don't have a heater on my tank since it's summer and it's really hot. So I don't need a heater until winter or autumn and middle of autumn to middle of spring. And when I'll have that, which is really useful because then you don't have to spend like $40 on a heater. I don't really have a spare heater on me at the moment. I only have one, and that's in the tank. So yeah. And that's pretty much all we can cover. I don't know. Hang on. Anyways, that is pretty much everything. Yeah. It's all you need to know about. Oh, Jesus. I forgot about the substrate. Okay. Substrate. Let's get on that and then we'll finish the video. So, substrate, you can't just pour it into the tank. You have to leave it. You have to, wash it out with water. So, you just poke a few holes in the bag and you just wash it out. And that's all you have to do. Then it gets all the yuckiness out. And then, because if you don't, then the water becomes cloudy, and then it could kill your fish. It's not very likely, but it's still a chance. But so, the best gravels, in my opinion, the best substrate, in my opinion, is sand mixed with gravel, or plain sand or plain gravel. The reason I like plain sand is around like sand and gravel is because if you put the sand on the bottom, then the roots of if you have plants, the roots will be able to spread under and not have to go through that all rough terrains, and the gravel will still be able to keep it down. But with sand, you have to put a bunch of sand in one spot. That's the problem I had with my old design of my fish tank. I couldn't keep the plants down, so they kept floating off. So I decided to get just a layer of gravel, and I got a really thick layer, so then they won't float off. Every once in a while they still float off. That's just because the fish knock them and then they float. But it's decreased a lot, but with just gravel, then they won't really have anywhere to grow, I guess. And then I personally like my tank flat, but it gives you a more perspective if you have it like in the back, having it higher than the front, because if you have it just gives it more perspective. And the best plants for beginners, in my opinion, I didn't even know that there were there were beginner plants until a couple of months ago. I was like, oh, they're all easy to take care of, but no, there's a lot of different types of low light plants. There's there's lots of other type of plants. Expert, medium, medium, expert, intermediate, and I don't know beginner. But the ones that I like to use is Java moss. Just any moss in general is really good. So I have to use Java moss, Christmas moss, and there's like another one. I forgot what it's called. But they're all really easy to grow, and they can cover the whole tank. It looks so good when it covers. I also like to use Java swords and just any sword in general, which is really cool. There's like stem plants. There's like these stem plants, and then they kind of like they don't have any leaves at the bottom, but then at the top they're all bushy, which is actually kind of like a tree. Then there's the classic Anubis, which is really special about this plant is it only grows on hard surfaces. So you'd have to have something like a rock or something. Has something like a rock or a piece of driftwood to stick the Anubis on, or just tuck. So you can either use super glue or you can put silicone, which I don't really recommend because then you have to leave it out for 7 days. So yeah. Or you can just tie it around fishing line. I personally like to go super glue because the fishing line sometimes will come off, and then yeah, I don't know. But that is all you need to know about looking after. I'm looking, not looking after, about everything you need to know about fish tanks. But let's go on water changes now. I forgot about them. So water changes pretty simple. Drain the water about 25 to 50%. Then you fill it back up. Put some prime. Chuck some prime in there. Then maybe chuck some stability in there if you have any. Check the water temperature. Check the pH. Check everything. If it's alright, chuck. Yeah, it's alright. That's it. That's how you do a water change. And if you want to clean the gravel, which I don't really do, you can just like get a gravel vacuum. You just scoop it in, and then it just clears out all the stuff, which is really good. I used to have it in my old tank, um, but then I got rid of it because it was just a hassle every single time. We did it, and it just made the water so much murky. But now all the crap just gets pretty much eaten by all the cories, so that's fine. Speaking of, yeah, that's it. And I'd also recommend having a cleaning crew in your tank, because a cleaning crew will clean all the debris and waste, and they won't clean any fish poo. Because I've heard a lot of people say, "Is there a fish that eats fish poo? Is there?" And I had that question for a long time too, but there isn't. There's no fish that will eat another fish's waste, which is a shame because yeah. Anyways, like a dung beetle of sorts, yeah, dung fish beetle. Poo fish. I don't know. Turd fish. That'd be a cool name. Anyways, that's all you need to know about fish tanks. Hit me up in the comments if you need any sort of help if this video didn't help you enough. If you need any more help, feel free to ask me. And on that note, have a good day and peace.